Interior Arkham Asylum cell. We're in an overly shadowed, claustrophobic, gothic prison cell, its brick wall crumbling. Damp and spider webs infest a corner, a broken sink, overly used toilet, small bedside table with various books of puzzles, Sudoku cubes, and pyraminxes. E.Nygma, 50s, wearing an orange jumpsuit with number 1048 on it, sits on a single bed, fixated on a Rubik's Cube. The light in his cell begins to sway. Edward looks above. The brightness of interior apartment, night, a light bulb, swaying back and forth, shines onto a man, 50s, clothing reminiscent of the 1960s, lying on a checkered floor. Whispers of a cape flap. The Batman, 50s, glides in from the shadows. He approaches the man. Kneeling down, he puts 2 fingers on the man's neck. There's no pulse.
Is he all right?
The Batman turns to see a boy, 9, scruffy clothing, a few feet away. Batman rises, using his physique and overly long cape to cover the body. He approaches the boy slowly.
I've lost something. I can't find it anywhere. I want to share it when I own it, but when I want it, I don't own it.
The Batman looks down on the checkered floor. There's a long piece of rope with dried blood in the form of a question mark. The Batman looks back at the man. The question mark cane rises and strikes the back of the Batman's head. Pow! Interior nightclub. Nighttime. A glass bottle smashes the back of Batman's head. Thug 1 in his 30s, wearing a checkerboarded shirt, picks up another glass bottle. Thug 1 swings again. Batman counters with an overhead throw, sending Thug 1 crashing into a pair of stacked tables.
Ah, seems we have a bat infestation.
The Batman gazes around the dark, empty nightclub. Thug 2 in his 30s charges at the Batman. A straight right fist to the face halts Thug 2. The Batman continues to look around at the empty, dark nightclub.
So much written, yet so much unknown. It's exhausting keeping up. The Gotham Globe calls you the Dark Knight.
Green and purple filtered spotlights and laser light shine through the empty club.
The Gazette refers to you as the Caped Crusader, and the GCPD, the world's greatest detective.
Bang! Bang! Thug 3, also in his 30s, fires at the Batman, who forward rolls away. A quick batarang from the Batman's left hand disarms Thug 3. The Batman rushes to Thug 3 and side slams him through a round table. A spotlight shines on the main stage. Music similar to Top Hat plays from the speakers. The Batman turns to see a giant box with a question mark on stage. Boom! The giant box unfolds, revealing a homemade bomb with a numeric countdown. Tap dancing into the spotlight, center stage is the Riddler, 50s in full green 3-piece suit, various question marks all over, bowler hat and purple eye mask, swirling a question mark cane.
A riddle a day keeps the Riddler away. Riddle me this. I have billions of eyes, yet I live in darkness. I have millions of ears, yet only 4 lobes. I have no muscle, yet I rule 2 hemispheres. What am I?
The human brain.
Gold star!
I've heard this riddle before, Enigma.
Really? Tell me, how can that be, since it's one of my very own, yet we've never met? Or have you foolishly given away your biggest secret already?
This doesn't make sense.
Huge arms reach out, bear-hugging Batman. Muscular Thug 4 in his 30s has him gripped tight. The Batman launches himself backwards against the nightclub bar, releasing Thug 4's grip.
I would have remembered such a garish cowl, with a competent mind and impressive toys.
The Batman delivers a quick haymaker that sends Thug 4 flying over the bar. Bottles of alcohol smash everywhere.
Tell me, what does a penurious man need that a generous man has?
Money.
Wayne. Brutal Bruce Wayne, is that you?
The Batman is stunned. He quickly turns back to interior, corporate office, daytime. Edward Nygma, 50s, in checkered shirt, pinstriped trousers, and glasses, stands face to face with Batman in full costume. Wayne Enterprises executives look on, unimpressed with Edward.
It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Wayne.
Edward forces his hand onto Batman for a handshake.
Back off.
The Batman shoves Edward back.
Oh, gosh. Right. Yes, I'm sorry. Very forward.
Frantically nervous, Edward moves back, lowering his posture.
Forgive me, but why the sinister voice?
The Batman looks down at himself, no longer in his armor. He is Bruce Wayne, black and gray three-piece suit, no cowl. Bruce is embarrassed.
Please forgive me. Too many Bloodhaven rums last night. Battles the mind, if you know what I mean.
Edward moves closer to Bruce.
It's Nygma, right? Edward Nygma?
Correct. That's right. Wait, you know me?
Edward giggles to himself, his eyes gleaming.
Well, of course, your work on the video game.
Bruce Wayne plays my game. Huzzah! Huzzah! Bruce Wayne is a gamer.
Bruce smirks as everyone in the corporate office looks on at Edward with embarrassment.
Approval for the creator at last.
Nygma.
Edward, alarmed, turns to a frustrated Daniel Mockridge in his 30s, wearing a freshly pressed three-piece gray suit. Bruce pays attention to Mockridge as he storms towards Edward.
I'm so sorry, Bruce. Eddie here gets a tad carried away.
Oh, it really isn't.
Shouldn't you be sorting out the latest software update to the servers?
But Mr. Mockridge, this is my one chance to...
Mockridge puts his arm around Edward.
Excuse us a moment, Bruce.
And Bruce nods. He watches Mockridge put his arm around Edward's neck, scurrying him away from Bruce. Mockridge forcibly pulls his arm around tighter onto Edward's neck, who chokes.
You ever pull a stunt like that again?
Bruce pays close attention to Mockridge's lips as they mouth, "I will kill you, you hear me? I will kill you." Mockridge adjusts Edward's even more crinkled shirt by the collar and approaches Bruce.
Lunch at the Iceberg Lounge on me?
Edward stands defeated. He clenches his right hand into a fist and turns round.
Mockridge, you overprivileged snake. Here's an easy one. Even you can get this one.
Nygma, you're out of...
What can you hold in your right hand, but never in your left hand?
I don't have time for games.
Bruce looks down at Edward's left hand in a clenched fist.
Mockridge, look out!
Pow! The left hand connects with Bruce's jaw. He falls back. Cut to interior school classroom, daytime. Falls back into a chair. Bruce, back in full Batman armor, sits at an old school desk. Rows of pupils, 8 to 9 years old, are seated paying attention at the front of the class. A teacher in his 30s stands face to face with Edward in his 50s in a school uniform.
Stupid. That's what you are. I told you to draw something about this Sunday. Instead, you draw me this woman?
The teacher holds up a childlike drawing of a woman holding a boy's hand. Edward's hands are shaking.
I'm wasting my breath on you. Why can't you be like everyone else in the class?
The teacher moves in closer to Edward, who is on the verge of crying.
Pop quiz.
The teacher takes a large puzzle book out of the desk drawer. He flips to a specific page. Edward is confused.
Not a burden for its weight and daily carried out. He who takes it wishes it had never come about. What am I?
Edward is frozen. He shakes his head, defeated.
Perhaps too smart for you.
The teacher turns to nearer the beginning of the book.
Here's an easy one. I am a foot long, but I have no leg. What am I?
Edward is struggling to find the answer. His eyes wander around the classroom. The pupils look on, staying silent. Edward looks back at the big book of puzzles. The Batman notices the teacher holding something in his hand. Edward looks down at the teacher's hand.
You need to be better.
Mac! A wooden ruler slams down on Edward's hands. A huge scream comes from Interior Mockridge's office, nighttime. Daniel Mockridge, screaming in pain. Ropes are biting into his wrists as he struggles in a chair.
My tips can be painted. Paper can be an enemy, but you can always count on me, darling.
Edward, in his 50s, wearing a plastic see-through jacket over his checkered shirt, holds a severed finger in his left hand.
That was an easy one, Mockridge.
A bloodied cigar cutter is in his right hand. It goes snap, snap. As he clamps down on the cutter, a grin arises from Edward.
You son of a bitch!
Edward clamps down on the cigar cutter.
Stop! I'll give you money. Name your price.
You think this is about money? Oh, Mockridge, you clearly haven't been paying attention. What I want is acknowledgement. To prove that I am the smartest one in the room, in every room.
You're insane, Edward Nygma. You hear me, Nygma? Insane.
Edward raises his left hand. He swings. Whack! Interior basement, nighttime. The Batman holds the left side of his jaw, unaware of his surroundings. Rows upon rows of computer servers light up, flashing green and purple lights reflect off his armor as he walks in between the rows.
You! How did you get in here?
The Batman looks to his left and sees Edward, in his 50s, wearing a checkered shirt, pinstriped trousers, and glasses.
I've been here this whole time.
What? You have? No. This cannot be.
The Batman looks around into the darkness.
Where are we?
Sheltered. Organized space.
For what?
I can bring tears to your eyes, resurrect the dead, make you smile.
The Batman grabs Edward, lifting him off the ground.
Enough riddles, Nygma. Tell me the answer now.
Please stop.
The Batman brings Enigma closer to him.
Tell me the code for the bomb.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
When is a riddle not a riddle?
Makes no sense. How can you not? Wait. Either you don't know the answer, or you can't remember.
The Batman releases Edward. His feet drop into the ground. Edward fixes his collar and tie.
The riddle. Ask me again.
I can bring tears to your eyes, resurrect the dead, make you smile and reverse time. I form in an instant, but I last a lifetime. What am I?
Memories.
One strict answer is a step to completion. An invalid response adds a line to my pending deletion.
Interior Mockridge's office, nighttime. Twack! Edward slaps Mockridge across the face. Mockridge is whining in pain, sweat dripping off his forehead. He looks back at Edward, leaning into his face.
Edward Nygma was weak. Eddie is no more. He is dead. Riddle me this.
Edward takes out a cigarette lighter engraved DM. He flicks on the lighter. A flame springs to life.
A candle that burns twice as bright will last half as long in the night.
Edward lets the flame go out.
But one candle's burn will later return. This is me.
Edward flicks on the lighter. The flame is reborn.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Edward sighs. He closes the lighter.
I'm wasting my breath with you.
He picks up a rope from the desk and approaches Mockridge slowly, creating a loop and a knot. There is fear in Mockridge's eyes.
Nygma, no, please.
Edward places a noosed rope around Mockridge's neck. There's a shove from Edward. Snap! Jump cut to Mockridge's feet dangling in the air. Edward stands next to Mockridge's swaying legs, cleaning his glasses with a cloth. Interior, basement, nighttime. Edward, standing, has finished cleaning his glasses. He puts them back on his face. The Batman looks on, disturbed.
Hangman, of course. Once the Riddler was created, you erased Edward Nygma from existence. Or so you thought.
Edward is starting to become anxious.
Only now, you have no choice.
Stop.
You have no control. You can't control your own algorithms.
Stop, please. I don't want to remember.
You have to, Nygma. You have to know the answer.
No, I won't let you in.
You hide behind these riddles because you can't help yourself. You can't help but remember.
Edward Nygma screams. He charges into the Batman. Interior Riddler's hideout. It's nighttime, forcing him to land head first, hard onto the concrete ground. The Riddler, 50s, is in full three-piece suit, slightly torn, with a question mark cane in his hand. The cane is pushed down hard on the Batman's neck. He struggles to breathe. The Batman turns to see a homemade bomb.
No, not now. My plan was perfect. You're not supposed to be here now. You're too early.
The Batman notices a 6-digit panel. He turns his attention back to the Riddler and looses his grip on the cane. Batman flips the Riddler over onto his back. Batman kicks up, snap, the cane is broken in half over his knee. The Riddler attempts to punch him, but is easily blocked and countered with a right haymaker. There's rage in Batman's eyes. The Batman is now on top of the dazed Riddler. Another fist connects, hitting cut. Interior apartment, nighttime. A petrified boy, 9 years old. The Batman immediately stops. The boy crawls to his bed. Batman is mortified.
Please, not again. I won't do it again.
The shadow of a man appears on the wall. The Batman turns into your basement, nighttime, to see Edward standing behind him, holding on tightly to his book of puzzles.
Nygma, you need to search for the answer. The bomb is still active. Thousands will.
We live in a world where no one just thinks anymore. Access to answers via a click of a button. Now everyone's a cheat. This young future generation are doomed. We don't even need to try to be smarter anymore. We never play the game properly anymore.
What did you say?
Oh God. What? What have I?
The Batman slowly moves back, becoming disconnected from Edward's reality. A 1960s television switches on, illuminating onto interior apartment, nighttime. Edward, in his 50s, wearing checkered pajamas, watching television. Bright lights shine on his excited face. We hear music similar to Top Hat and see tap dancing. Edward is in awe. He turns to see a door slammed open. There's a male figure in silhouette. Fear comes automatically to Edward's eyes.
I'm going to bed now. I just wanted to see the end.
Snap! A hard slap across Edward's face. He crawls to bed. Another hand slabs on the back of Edward's head, which lands face first into his pillow.
Please. Not again. I won't do it again.
Smack!
Edward,
Interior Arkham Asylum cell, nighttime. A spotlight shines on Edward, who wakes up. He's wearing a tattered orange jumpsuit, lying back on his bed.
it's me, Dr. Spring. I'm here to help you.
Oh, Doctor, I've had the worst nightmare. The Batman was foiling.
Now, Edward, we don't need to talk about him if you don't want to.
Oh. Thank you. He gets enough attention as it is.
Shall we begin our session with a game?
Yes.
I arrive in pieces. Put together, I form a full length. It's athletics for the brain. The more you detect and ponder, the more you find. It can be a grind, but then that is the goal.
That's easy. A puzzle.
Will you let me help you put this puzzle back together?
Puzzle. Yes.
Edward slowly closes his eyes. Darkness. Interior Arkham Asylum, medical ward, it's nighttime. We see an MRI brain scan on a light box. Certain lobes are highlighted in green, notably the hippocampus and amygdala. A large shadow in the form of the Batman covers the MRI scan. Interior Arkham Asylum cell. Edward Nygma's hands are fixated on cracking a Rubik's Cube. Fabric whispers in the shadow.
I was wondering when you'd show.
The Batman appears from the dark. Edward's hands stop. He slowly places the Rubik's Cube down on his bed, his hands shaking as he does so. Edward and the Batman are face to face.
Dr. Sprang informed Gordon you hadn't been yourself for a while. No riddle since we caught you.
Perhaps me not taking care of myself has gotten me in this mess. 1 week of this food, and you'll agree.
The Batman observes the cell, seeing a tray of unappetizing food on a bedside table, barely touched. His boot is wet from a puddle from a broken sink. There's a CCTV camera, unplugged.
Or maybe, just maybe this once, there is no answer. It is what it is.
The Batman and Edward take a moment of silence. Police sirens and ambulances pass by, ruining the silence.
How long have you known?
I've had my suspicions for some time. I didn't want it to be true. A riddle a day keeps the Riddler away. You made the mistake of telling me that when we first met.
Oh.
When the riddle stop, that's when.
I'm ready for that.
Edward lightly smacks his hand.
Only you were playing a game. You just had no idea you were doing it.
Edward is dumbfounded. He paces around in his cell as he processes this
in your own compulsive way. By creating the same bomb in our very first encounter, you were trying to tell me something. Not a game. A virus. You needed me to understand you.
It's hard for people here to believe you when you've threatened them so many times. They won't help me. Now, you understand.
I've always understood you, Nygma. Maybe better than you know you.
Edward overtly giggles to himself.
Oh, Batman. If you really knew me, you would know that I'm not smart at all. I've always been a cheat. I have never been smart enough.
Interior school classroom, daytime. A boy, 9 years old, wearing a school uniform, is reading the answers to a quiz book, taking notes in a small green journal. Cut to interior classroom. A pencil scratches frantically onto a piece of paper. The boy stands proud and begins to walk towards his teacher at the opposite end of the classroom. The pupils continue to work on their own papers. They look up and stare at the boy, who hands in his paper to the teacher. A hand grabs the ruler. The teacher reads the paper, eyes widening with surprise. He lets go of the ruler. Jump cut to the teacher awards the boy a book of puzzles for age 15 and over. The pupils in the class applaud. The boy smiles. The teacher doesn't applaud. Interior apartment, daytime. The boy hands the paper to the man who has an alcoholic beverage in his hand. A smirk comes from the man. He crunches up the paper and tosses it. The man stumbles away from the boy, who holds tightly onto his quiz book.
I wasn't smart enough to be the man he wanted.
The man trips past a table, knocking over a framed family photograph. The boy, man, and mother are now in shattered glass. Interior Arkham Asylum cell. It's nighttime. present day. Edward is struggling to control his emotions.
End of all days. All those years ago.
Interior apartment, nighttime. Boy, 9 years old, enters the apartment. His eyes widen. The smile fades away. A handmade card drops to the checkered floor. We see a pair of swaying legs of a man hanging from above with a rope tight round his neck.
I wasn't smart enough.
Interior Arkham Asylum, cell, nighttime. Edward turns his back away from the Batman.
I am easy to see, but no one likes looking at me. Without me, there would be no you. I can make you complain or make you smile, but you almost always take me for granted.
Son. A son.
I have a name which is linked to my birth and relinquish it on the date of my death, but through it all, I am forever known as past, present, and future.
Interior apartment, nighttime. The boy sheds a tear as he stares at the hanged man. The handmade card on the floor reads, "Happy Father's Day." The boy has become Edward in his 50s, crying. Interior Arkham Asylum cell, nighttime, present day. Edward, with a tear sliding down his face, smiles.
Today, the code to the bomb. Father's Day.
Edward wipes away the tear. He swings around to face the Batman.
The student has now become the teacher. I have taught you well. You really have learned from our encounters over the years. Even the greatest lesson of them all, manipulating the system and lives of others for your own gain. And even now, you're doing the same.
Cut to the same place in the cell 10 minutes earlier. The Batman is face to face with Edward.
You, how did you get in here?
I've been here this whole time.
What? You have? No. This cannot be.
Edward paces back and forth in his cell. Jump cut to...
It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Wayne.
Edward forces his hand onto Batman's for a handshake.
Back off!
The Batman shoves Edward back. Jump cut to, in the darkest corner of Edward's cell, the Batman lurks.
Using the shadows to fool me.
Let me help you put this puzzle back together.
Edward is lying down on his bed as if he were in therapy. A beam of light from a police helicopter shimmers over the Batman's emblem and cowl on the dark shadows. Edward's eyes are closed. Cut to Edward, tap dancing in and out of the spotlight, switching between his orange jumpsuit, school uniform, checkered shirt and tie, and a three-piece Riddler suit. Cut to Interior Arkham Asylum, cell, nighttime. Edward is impressed. He applauds.
You cheated my mind to win.
The Batman doesn't react.
The world's greatest detective. I never cared who you were. I just wanted an equal. You want to share it when you have it, but when you want it, you don't have it. You have yours. And now you have mine.
Edward turns away from the Batman.
What makes you think I can trust you now?
Edward stops.
Confabulated memories. One's self-image. Inconclusive. A fabricated mind. Grueling to trust by myself. You have no choice.
Edward picks up his Rubik's Cube from his bed. The Batman looks around the shabby cell.
Thank you for playing, Bruce.
The Batman doesn't flinch. Edward turns away from him as he tries to reconfigure the Rubik's Cube. A few turns, and it's more jumbled than ever. Edward stops, closes his eyes, and takes a deep breath. The Batman pays attention to Edward's focus. He opens his eyes and instinctively solves the Rubik's Cube, colors matching on all sides of the cube. Edward smiles. He turns around. The Batman has vanished. Edward stands in his cell alone.
Nygma, grab your things. You're being transferred.
Cut to exterior Arkham Asylum, nighttime. Rain crashes down onto the Batman's cowl as he stands on a gargoyle, looking down at the medical wing window. Edward is tucking himself into a freshly made bed and a substantially cleaner room in Arkham Asylum. There comes a beep from a radiocom.
Sir, Batman, do you copy?
The Batman holds his right hand to the right ear of his cowl, taking the call.
I hate to sound like a broken record, but your dinner is getting cold, sir.
I'll reheat it later.
And the vichyssoise.
It's supposed to be cold, remember?
Right you are.
The Batman continues to stare at Edward, taking in his new environment.
I've noticed that the tracker you have on the Riddler shows he's been transferred from his cell to the medical ward. Was your diagnosis correct?
The Batman watches Edward, taking in the smell of a fresh, clean duvet.
No one should be a prisoner. Not even when they're a prisoner of their own mind.
The Batman takes one last look at Edward and lowers his head.
Are you all right, sir? You sound more despondent than usual.
Brightness. The Batman turns and looks up for the first time tonight and smiles.
Happy Father's Day, Alfred.
The Batman looks out onto Gotham City, its Gothic architecture and bright, multicolored lit glory. The bat signal illuminates the Batman's face.
Thank you, Master Bruce.
Police sirens plow through the city. The Batman ends the call. His cape spreads out in the form of a giant bat as he dives off the gargoyle. Cut to interior, Arkham Asylum, medical ward, nighttime. Through the window, we see a glimpse of the Batman's dive. At the end of his bed, the medical report and MRI brain scans on a clipboard with keywords E.Nygma and Alzheimer's disease. The bat signal lightens the room. Edward Nygma has now gone to sleep. Fade to black.